Hey everyone, today I wanted to go over the new color from Volume 2 of JJK. With the release events and everything going on, I wanted to build a Yuji Choso deck. From the looks of it and looking at some of the cards, there are about 3 ways you can build a deck in the color red. So that would be the Cursed Spirit or Cursed Wombs with Gato, and some of the Cursed spirits like Hanami and Mahito. So that's one way. Then the other red color deck would be the Jujutsu Sorcerers, featuring a new Gojo card, Yuji and Nobara. And then the second way would be to kind of make a hybrid between Yuji, taking Yuji from the Jujutsu Sorcerers, and Choso from the Cursed Wound Death Paintings. So I think from looking at the cards that this would be the strongest option, and what would fit my play style. In the future, I would probably want to uh, rebuild some colors from the first volume, but of course, with the new set and new cards, you're gonna want to build the new color. So I will be building the deck today. So starting off, we have the 0 cost Yuji. So I'm gonna add 4 of those. Those are and add this card to your hand. This is going to be your raid target for the UG raid. And then I see there is a 2 energy step UG that nullifies impact. I'm not gonna add this to the deck yet. Um, Definitely a good card. Step and nullify impact and a raid target. But I do want to see some of the Chozo and Cursed uh, Womb cards first before I add anything else. And then we have the 3 energy UG. Activate main. This card gains all abilities listed below until the end of the turn if your opponent has a required number of characters with 4,000 or more BP on their front line, 2 or more, 4 or more. This would probably be a better card to add in. I do want to look at other 2 energy type cards to see if I can figure out a curve. If I can't figure out a curve with a different card, I'll probably add the other UG. But this UG, I definitely want to add. We have a double energy here. It is the color. I should probably look at the other color first, though. But this looks like a really good option to add into the deck. And of course, we are going to add the Raid UG. I'm going to put it at max right now. That might go down depending on how I feel like the split would work. So we are going to add that. Um, I don't always like adding cards like this depending on what the deck requires. So if it is a high costing deck and I feel like I can't get to the energy, I will add these in, but I just don't like the idea of not having a trigger on something that I'm going to be relying on for energy. So most likely I would have 4 of these in. So if I can get away with not having this card in the deck, I usually try not to run it. This definitely not. I want to get to the Choso cards. Here's another 2 cost. It is a Jujutsu Sorcerer though, so I would rather the raid UG, the UG for the raid target. think. Here we go. So definitely going to be adding this in. Definitely need an SO. I will max this out for now. We're probably going to play around with the numbers once I get the cards in that I know for a fact I'm going to be running. So here's a grade 2 drop requirement. I'm definitely going to need this for Choso's abilities. So we're going to max that. And then we have the 0 drop Choso. Definitely max that. I do like that this is an add to hand. From other sets that I've been seeing, when even if a card has a raid, there have been triggers that are just like draw a card or even an active trigger, which isn't terrible, but having to look for a 0 when your first hand had no zeros and you mulligan and you still don't have a 0 and you're drawing and you're not seeing a 0. These add to hand cards just make the difference. Place up to 2 cards from the top of your deck into your sideline. You may add 1 SO Kechizu card from your sideline to your hand. If you do, place 1 card from your hand to your sideline. Definitely going to add this. I feel like this might be a 3 of. Like I said, definitely going to max the Choso out. This is a really great raid because it boosts everything on your, well, not everything, but you want an SO or a Kechizu on your front line, so you want to see that raid. Draw a card, play up to 1 SO or Kechizu card from your hand set to resting on your field. If on front line, it buffs. As long as SO or Kechizu is on the same line, all of them gain 500 BP until the end of turn. So during your attack, all of these cards, all of these cards will gain 500. So this becomes a 4K on attack. And this becomes a 35, which is still not terrible because if there's other cards that buff once per turn. So I'm wondering, since this is once per turn, if on front line, you should be able to use this if you had 2 Choso raids up. Because it doesn't say like the named, like once per turn, you can only do this once. So if you had multiple Chosos up on your front line, you should be able to get this to a 4K also, which is not bad for a 2-drop 4K. No. Alright, so we have the Jogo. You can only activate this ability of 5 or more energy generation. So since this is a low-cost deck, this is not something that I would... This is more for the Gato, because the Gato is a 5-drop. Same with this Dagon. Same with this Hanami. Same with this Mahito. So like these would all be for the Gato card because the Gato is 5. This would be for Cursed Spirit or Cursed Wombs, or a Gato. This might be a maybe. Black Flash special. This, depending on what other specials there are. Let's see. If you have a combined total of 2 or more Curse Spirit or Curse Wounds, depending on card in front line, or Sugo Get on your front line reduces cards AP cost by 1 while in your hand. Choose one character on your opponent's front line with 5,000. Ooh. Prison Realm would be nice because you are putting their character into removal and you're drawing a card, but 5 energy. I feel like Black Flash would be better in this deck, so I might actually choose to run more Yujis just to make sure that I'm hitting this requirement, because the Prison Realm is the one that is the Cursed Wombs. But I feel like the Black Flash would be better in that situation. Choose up to one of each of the following characters on your front line: Choso, Eso, Kechizu, and Yuji Itadori. They each gain 1,000 BP until the end of turn each. That's kind of crazy. If you choose a combined total of 2 or more characters, including Choso, the Choso chosen with this ability also gains impact. Impact plus 1. So can you just use like 3 of these in one turn? Impact plus 3. If you choose a combined total of 3 or more characters, including Choso, draw a card. So this is definitely a 4 of, because this focuses on the Eso, Kachizu, and Choso. This is only mostly for the Jujutsu Sorcerer one. And then we have Domain. How many cards am I at? 39. Alright. So I feel like still iffy about the 2. But the Nullify Impact, I'm just going to add 4 for now. We'll see where we're at. Definitely want this because we want double energy. At 47, we max everything out maybe? Still at 48, so I have room for something else. I feel like I would need like another cursed paint, like the death paintings. There's just not a lot. Like, would it be useful to add this in? Activate main, switch to wrestling, place the top card of your deck into your sidelines. Activate main, switch to wrestling, sideline this card, place one Gato card, Curse Spirit or Curse Wombs, Death Painting, sideline on top of your deck. Like, it's not appealing to me a lot. It does seem like it's good for the double energy. Like, if I'm not seeing an SO and it's in my sideline, I just add it. I'm able to add it back to the top of my deck, so that way I see it and I can use the non-existent memories. Like, that might be a good combo. I feel like since I haven't quite tested this out and we're just kind of deck building right now, that would be a good option for the moment. I would still have to test this out, but I feel like this build is pretty solid for like the split, because you do have 1, 2, 3, 4 Yuji cards, 2, 3 Choso cards, and then you got Eso and Ketchizu. So there is a pretty good split for this hybrid. That makes sense. This I still want to test out. But yeah, I feel like this is a pretty solid build. If you're able to, if you're able to get this Yuji out for impact, oh, interesting. When attacking once per turn, if you have 3 or more other Jujutsu Sorcerer cards, 3 or more on your field. I mean that's not a terrible requirement. Like the only thing I would think is if I test this out, I don't like this, or I can't get to the 3 Jujutsu Sorcerers for the impact, I take this out and maybe add something else in from Jujutsu Sorcerer. Like maybe that Toge does make sense then in that situation, or maybe there's something else. Let's see. Okay. This might not be a bad idea. 4-drop, 4K, Jujutsu Sorcerer, look at top 4, reveal a Yuji. That might not be a bad option to switch out 2 of for the subway platform if you're not seeing any of a lot of your Yujis. Because like the idea would be to have like maybe one of these on your back line and 2 of these, maybe one on the front line, one on the back line, and then of course use this as a raid or to have the 3 requirement. If I feel like I'm not getting to that, I can always add this in. Then you can have this on your front line. If you're not seeing like a UG you want, you use this to block. When it's sideline, you search for a UG. That wouldn't be a terrible option to substitute for the subway platform. But yeah, overall, until I actually test this deck out, I think this is a pretty solid build for a split between Yuji and Choso. If you guys have any recommendations, leave it in the comments. I will be testing this out as soon as I get my boxes so I can build this deck. And then maybe I can make an update video and see if I change anything out and see how it works. But if you do have any suggestions, leave it in the comments. I will be looking because I definitely do need some suggestions if you feel like something's off here. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.